I'm joined by my fellow hosts, Kathy and Hannah. If I could get them both to turn their camera on, that would be amazing. There you are. Hello, Hannah. I think I'd be able to say that easily. Kathy, there she is.
It's my recycling, I'm afraid, but it's the only place that I get decent enough internet reception.
Everybody gets to have a good old nose round. It's what I do them upstairs, and everyone can see what's hanging on the back of the door, that I don't make my bed. So I thought I'd do it downstairs today.
Hat food and recycling, all the glamour.
Listen, I'm going to introduce my fellow guest shortly. I just want to explain, I guess, what the plan, why we're talking to Brighton Gin, and I guess the purpose of the series that we've been doing over the past few weeks. So this brings to an end. I can hear myself. Is it echoing horribly? Yeah. There we are. So over the past few weeks, we've been working with a number of different industry verticals and talking to them about their own experiences as we've gone through the last few months and when the world tipped over. We have a load more planned for next month, because next month I'm kicking off with Super Saturday. Next month is an exciting month where it'll have a whole heap of other challenges and experiences and stories to tell. So this is the end of the bounce back. It'll probably then panic stations or something is what we'll call next month, but we'll report what we're going to do next month. But Brighton Gin, we're going to wrap up this series with Brighton Gin because it's just one of those real feel-good stories that has actually come out of COVID, because it's been really rotten. It's been particularly rotten for small businesses, and I think there are so many people who are on the call today who are obviously our customers who have just found it really, really tough. But this is a story of partnership, partnering, pivoting, and just taking on the business in a new approach to get it through. So I will introduce Kathy shortly, but I do want to acknowledge we are obviously all still based at home. There will be background noise, there'll be doorbells, there'll be internet issues, there'll be everything. You know what happens, the postman always comes when I'm on this, so the dog will at least bark once during this session. I am recording the session. I will share it at some point later on today or tomorrow, so that you can share it out. If you're an accountant, share it out with any of your businesses who might be interested, but equally if you're a business that is looking to do something similar, you can then share it with your teammates. So without further ado, I think I will slide across and introduce my fellow hosts. So first up is my best mate, but also CEO of Futurely, Hannah. So if you could just explain why we're here together.
Hello, hi. So, hi Kathy, how are you doing? It's good to see you. So everybody that knows Futurely knows that we are absolutely, gunning for the small business. And so I'm here bigging it up from the small business side of things. And Helen, my trusty sidekick, is here bigging it up for the accountants who also can service our small businesses. So that one-to-many approach. So, if we can take learnings, share things that have worked, share things that haven't worked, across all of these different industry sectors. We have had so much positive feedback from this series that it's really, really helped. So thanks again, Kathy, for being part of it, because I know that you've pivoted and it's brilliant. I can't wait to see, as we go through these slides, what's happened over the last few months. But without further ado, I will allow you to introduce yourself.
So hi, my name's Kathy and I'm the founder and managing director of Brighton Gin, and I'm really delighted to be hopefully not banging on too much to you today, but about how we've basically spun on a sixpence and changed what we do and how we do it and why. And we're massive admirers of everything that Futurely do, particularly just the people that Hannah and Helen are. They're blinking awesome. And I want to say thank you for helping kind of shine the spotlight on some of the stuff that small businesses have been doing as we have been through what will be an extraordinary period in our lives. What a fascinating time to be alive, eh?
It is going to be that pub conversation, isn't it? Do you remember when? It's like, were you in the 87 hurricane?
Yeah.
Do you remember Twin Towers? Do you remember Princess Diana? This is now one of those ones that we can...
It is, and I'm old enough to have been in all of those things. Oh, God.
Me too. Look, should we slide into, because Brighton Gin is such a fabulous story, and I think probably so much of you wound into it. I think let's start with the background of Brighton Gin and how you brought the whole thing to life and the team there, and just take us through from day dot to the present day, but before COVID, not...
Absolutely. We could talk BC. We will talk BC. And I'm so glad that you've chosen this photograph, which shows.
I had great fun choosing the photos. Honestly, it's brilliant.
Oh,
yeah.
This
So
is this is the amazing team. This is in October as well, so it looks like it's the middle of summer, but it was last October, and this shows how brilliant my small but trusty team are, because they're up for doing things like this basically in the winter. So the story of Brighton Gin has a very, very simple kind of origin story. Got terrible gin puns peppering throughout, but that's because I'm going to try very hard not to swear, so I should be allowed the bad puns if there's not me swearing.
Don't worry about swearing. Honestly, we have been through, I reckon, the whole lot. There's not one left. There's full house on most of them, so you're fine.
It's small businesses, right? It's small business operators, you know.
You learn how to creatively swear, and quite often at 3 a.m. Yeah, so the idea of Brighton Gin basically came, it was a genuine light bulb moment. So this is now 9.5 years ago or so. I was going for a run down the seafront, having had a very, very late night on the gins with a mate dancing around her kitchen table. And when I was running down the seafront the next day, I just had this thing going, God, if I'd been drinking anything other than gin, would I have made it off my sofa, let alone out for a run, and had that proper kind of bing light bulb? Gin is the one drink that lets me and lots of other people get away with it on a frequent basis. Brighton is a place that needs to get away with it on a frequent basis. Boom, that's it. Brighton needs its own gin. And turn around from my run, sprint is an exaggeration, huffed home at speed, but I'd already thought that, well, because there are always bubbles in ideas, right? And I thought that, well, you know, if somebody else is already trying to make a Brighton gin, and I really specifically wanted it to be called Brighton Gin, I didn't want to do gin called anything else, but then fine, I'll take my hat off to them and look forward to trying it. Got on the internet, did some light interwebbing, and found out that not only did it look like no one was trying to make Brighton Gin, but actually there had never been a distillery here or anything of its type. So it's like, great, I'm going to make Brighton Gin, and let's start a whole new industry for Brighton. How hard can it be? Laugh, laugh, laugh. Yes. Very is the answer.
So what happens? So you've gone for a run. You've decided that, I mean, I like the strap line. The alcohol you can exercise with, I feel, should be your marketing campaign. So you've gone for a run. You've sprinted back home. You're like, yeah, I'm fresh as a daisy. I've Googled that Brighton Gin is available. How quickly did the next piece of the puzzle start to come together?
It all took a really long time, actually. So I think I'm very happy and quite relaxed actually talking about the huge number of mistakes that had been made all along the way with Brighton Gin and with starting business up, because actually it's from each of those near disasters, I think we can say that actually you learn the most, however painful or humiliating it is at the time. So actually with Brighton Gin, because I also was so obsessed about, I'm not, full disclosure, I am not a born and bred Brightonian, but I have lived here longer than anywhere else I've lived on the face of the planet, and I'm a Brighton obsessive. So my first thing was about going, well, I definitely wanted to be called Brighton Gin. So first of all, I'm going to find out, how do you go about getting a trademark for something?
Getting a name.
So yeah, so started off from that front, because I had this absolute, because I was so hung up about it only ever being called Brighton Gin, and it could have been that someone was trying to go through that process first. So kind of started from there and roped my sister into that, because she's got very good attention to detail and an attention span, and I have neither of those things. And we basically learnt about IP and registering trademarks and took it from there. And at the same time, so I was commuting up to London, and my God, does that feel like another life. So I had, courtesy of Southern Rail, I had an awful lot of time to sit and read and research and think, because the train service was particularly crappy at that
I was going up to London during that period. It was dark. It used to take anything from an hour to 3 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just, I mean, I wonder how I ever had the energy to do that, and then to go and do 10 really stressful hours working in. I was working in radio at the time. I was working for Radio 4, doing my dream job. But actually, the thing of the horror of the commute also helped really focus my mind on really wanting to get Brighton Gin.
Brighton can get me home. That can be my business that's based there. So when did you? How distilling, it's not like you've gone and bought a product and then you've whacked a retail price on it and started selling it. You have to go and make this process. How?
That's it, and it turns out that so actually you can do that, it turns out, and there are plenty of contract distillers out there. So, for example, there are now over 1,000 British gin brands. There are a couple of hundred distilleries. So actually, there's one distiller based in and they're like a fourth generation distiller, so they really know what they're doing. But they're making, at the latest count, something like 600 plus gin brands. So anyway, we decided to go the hard way because that seems to have also always been the choice. But actually, I think it's part of the kind of Brighton sensibility that we've always, if there's one way of doing things or a better way, actually we've always wanted to take the better way, even though it's definitely never cheaper and it's really never easier either. But because we're trying to create something that is ethical and sustainable and here for a long time as well as a good time, it's just...
Well, and genuinely Brighton Gin. I think you would always feel, if it's not distilled here, then you would think this is not Brighton Gin.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and I think that's, and I will come back to answer your question about how you distill, but I think one of the things that has really shocked me, I suppose, the longer I've been in the trade and have learned more about it and found out about the whole world of contract distilling and contract brand creation as well, is that there's a very, very quick and easy route to market and getting on the shelf and having shelf presence. But I absolutely believe that if something is called, so due to my inability to manage my finances properly, I still live in the grotty little flat that Brighton Gin was created in. This is the flat that I nearly burnt down trying to do the first distillation experiments.
So was it just you, Kathy, at the beginning? So was it just you at the beginning? Your sister was helping you. We have more than you in that picture.
She helped on the kind of the IP front. So this shows you how little I knew about, apart from being a very passionate consumer of and quite knowledgeable on the taste and enjoyment front of gin, but I knew absolutely the square root of bugger all about making it. Was like, oh my God, it's a science. I need a scientist. And one of my best mates, the brilliantly named Dr. Easy, he's very, very laid back. His name is Ian Easy. It's like, brilliant, Easy, he's a doctor, come and help me, come and get involved, let's make gin together. And actually he's a physicist. He also knows the square root of bugger all about distilling, it turns out, but he's really, really good with a spreadsheet and keeping records and things. And actually in this picture here, the woman with the red hair with the glasses on top of her head, that's Ellie. She's my best mate. She's Easy's partner as well, and Easy and I nearly burnt down their flat as well with our original distilling experiments.
It's like Breaking Bad, only you're making gin. This is what it sounds like.
Actually, it was very much like that. And the first still that we had, we bought off eBay. It was like a glass chemistry still. We bought it for about 100 quid off eBay, and that had been used as a prop in the film The 51st States. So
wow.
our original still was used by Samuel L. Jackson to synthesize MDMA on screen. So sadly, I blew that up. But
that's amazing. So we've got loads we want to cover. So just a few stats for this year. So how many were working for you? What's your production volume, distribution? And then what was this year going to look like before?
Oh my God. It's so... I'm glad that I can now talk about it with a beaming smile on my face, because there have been bits this year where there have not been smiles going on. So the plan for this year was we started working with a nationwide exclusive distributor for Brighton Gin, focusing almost exclusively on the on-trade to build us nationwide so we could focus on export, and that's where we see all of the growth as coming for Brighton Gin. We wanted to, the mission was to take the spirit of Brighton to the world, and that was what we were gunning for.
What staff numbers were you up to at this point?
So we were higher than we are now. So we had 7 employees, I think, and then a bundle of freelancers who we work with along along the way.
How many bottles of gin were you producing on a month? Or I don't know how you measure it. Month, quarter, a week, a day?
So at full, if the one of the things that's great actually about the way that we make gin, even though we spend quite a long time producing it compared with lots of other gin producers, we have a lengthy production, but it's not whiskey. We can't, where you can't even call your product whiskey till it's been around for 3 years and a day. But one of the great things about our production is we can kind of almost produce, we do a just-in-time production.
Okay.
So with the exception of our seaside strength, because that matures for a long time to get the smoothness of it. So, but if we go at full, like the Clappers, we can make 1,000 bottles a week. We've also got, we can scale up our production and this was on part of our amazing, this is what we can do for 2020. It was like, well, actually, we can get our production up to 3, maybe even 5,000 bottles a week, and still it'll all be handmade and organic and just oh,
and then this. And then the world fell over.
And then the world fell over. And actually, also, we were off to a rocky start at the beginning of the year. Anyway, we had our distributor had really underperformed they had failed to do the job that they were meant to do, which was to give us the time to go out and develop new markets. They're basically tanked it. Plus, we then had the wallop of dry January, which has definitely over the last few years has really gathered pace, and actually people properly do it and do the whole month and stick to it, and then and the likes. So
I don't, just so you know, I'm not one of those people, Kathy. I'm here supporting you.
Thank God for you, because also, I mean, January, man, it's when you need a bit of a
I agree, and it's
I
my
need to drink through it. Exactly. My husband and Helen have got birthdays, so that's out.
Yeah, it's
but did you said you had a rocky start?
We had rocky
but were there early indications then that so we're your February,
Absolutely.
March, what happened?
Absolutely. And also so Charlie, our operations manager, and I had also been away actually been on holiday again. That feels like another year ago, and our route was through Thailand, Malaysia and Singapore. And as we were where the kind of reporting on everything COVID shape was very, very different from the view that from Europe. So I think maybe that we were fortunate in having a very kind of early warning signs about stuff. But we came back and just looked at the numbers and had a proper oh no moment. And I think beginning to go, what happens if actually we can see this things is spreading across the world, seeing different reactions to it, and kind of having that thing going on. So both the head bit of looking at the numbers going, well, these aren't great, and then also that sort of slight gut feeling of going,
there's just something not right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happened? What did you take make any early decisions? Did you know from a cost perspective, did you go, right, okay, we're gonna have to change tack pretty darn quickly here to survive? What happened? What was the conversations? Because no one wants to admit that they're going to have to do these things, but unfortunately some tough decisions had to be made really quickly.
Completely, absolutely. And it's I get goosebumps actually as I think back to the conversations we had. So we decided very quickly we've got to take drastic action. The doorbell. Excellent. You guaranteed. Absolutely.
You're welcome to go and get it. It's fine. We don't mind.
No, it might be the bloody Jehovah's Witnesses again. God. They've got their work cut out in Brighton. Bastards. I'm ignoring it. It's nice.
I lost your train of thought, but you were saying, right, you had to do something about it. You could feel that actually you needed to take immediate action. And why? Yeah. Was that from data or from gut or from panic?
Yeah, I think it was the realization of going. I think it was a couple of things. One was we thought we need to make big rather than salami slicing, and my background of working at the BBC actually, which is just a perpetual salami slicing. It's like, actually, we need to make a big change now. And so this was back kind of probably the beginning of February, actually. And for that, we went through a redundancy process, which was ghastly. I don't think anyone ever sets up a business and starts something to make people redundant from it.
No,
but it was totally necessary, and I'm really glad we've done it. I found it awful, not as awful, I'm sure, as the gang did, but it was totally necessary. It involved having really hard conversations with our freelancers, all of whom are buddies. We're a real friends and family outfit. So my mum, for example, is our production manager. It meant having a really tough conversation with her when March came along, because she is in her late 70s, 77. So, you know, it's obvious. And she was absolutely gutted about us basically saying, you have got to go home and stay there. And yeah, it was.
So to start in February though, you were genuinely, and I know that you said you've been had feelings, but was it also, were you getting indications from, were bars reducing their orders on the back of dry Jan? Then were they looking ahead and going, actually, I don't think we need anything, we're not, because your entire business was wholesale, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that a lot of people, kind of retrospectively now, I think a lot of people were already beginning to self-isolate and curb their behaviours without coming for. I think a lot of people had chosen to lock down before lockdown was put upon us.
But you kind of went into lockdown, therefore, in a good position, in quite a lean, mean position.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd stripped back absolutely everything, including going, well, actually, we're not going to be producing any gin for the foreseeable. And
that's been heartbreaking.
Oh, completely, because, you know, also set up Brighton Gin because I want to make gin, and that bit of going, it's not going to happen.
So did you have stock in reserve at that juncture? Obviously, if you're making things just in time, how much stock reserves did you have?
Exactly. So we had stock just in time. In terms actually of difficult conversations, I think on a par with the redundancy process and chatting to all of our freelancers, you know, these people I've known for 15 years. We were all involved in setting up Radio Reverb, the community radio station, together, so to have those conversations, awful. But also it meant going to our distributor, our underperforming distributor, and going, this is it. It's a 5-year contract, which we came out of. It cost us a chunk of money to come out of it. It is so much the right thing to do, because also the model was we have an exclusive distributor who is then selling into wholesalers who then again sell on to bars and restaurants on the on-trade. So we had the initial it's over for us conversation also in February, took until March, the end of March, to actually get sorted, by which stage our whole industry was closed. So again, I'm just someone who really doesn't relish difficult conversations at all, or conflict. I am very much
I don't think anybody does, you know, and this is something that all of us have, you know, unfortunately have had to experience. I think when you set up a business, you know, you do it optimistically, don't you? Absolutely. And then you have the days that smack you in the head. And I think that just hopefully, I mean, did you find that you had a community to help through that? Obviously, you're a really tight team, but being able to talk through it.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things that I'm really glad that we've done was be really, really open with the team about these are the challenges. This is the context. These are the challenges that we're facing, and this is what we as a company and me personally, what I'm doing to tackle things. And I'm really glad that we did that, actually, because I think there's the thing of I don't ever want to, you know, make anyone panic about, oh my God, are we about to go down the tube? But also wanted people actually to know that this is the crack. And
this is the reality of the situation. Yeah.
Completely, and then going, right, this is it, and we're going to tackle it head on, and these are the moves that we're taking. So, and I'm really glad that we did that. And I think it's one of the things of, there's always kind of debates about how much financial information should you share with your team, how much they know. But they were very, very aware that we were, there was gin stockpiling in the gin cave. The good news is that we were distilling last week. Yes, but actually that's 6 months into the year.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that usually we would be distilling twice a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's bonkers when you look at it like that.
Mm.
But I do think financials, let's talk financials. You're absolutely right. I think it's a conversation that Hannah and I often have, how much do you share? And I think we agree that the more you can share, the more people are on the journey. I don't think it's
but equally, sorry.
Live from Wembley.
Sorry, equally, I think that,
Hang on.
sorry, ears are all back now. I think that if you don't share, what we've learned anyway, is that your team will just fill any void with their own narrative. So they'll, they will completely, make it up. So you may as well tell them,
That's a really good point. I think that's one that I hadn't taken on board. Also because we now have such a tiny team, and I think I totally underestimated how actually that people will speculate and chat and create a whole thing.
It also humanizes you and the decisions that you're making and why, because often, well, what have you done that for? And I think that the more that you can do that, and share, then the better for your organization. But these, how, the first question is just ridiculous, how worried are you about cash flow? I mean, sorry, it is the most stupid question, but, what's it been like for you personally? Because it's,
So Brighton Gin has been bootstrapped from the beginning. There has never been a security blanket, and if anybody is watching this and listening to them just about to start up, get some cash in the bank at the beginning. I would say is a useful thing. So it's always been just mega lean, and we've sailed close to the wind a few it's a small business. There's always buffets that come and take about, but we sat down and were like, oh my god, after 9 and a bit years, is it actually going to be a virus that kills our business? Because when the lockdown edict came in, that shut 90% of our business instantly. Quite a lot with people's, we usually run on 30-day terms. There were still bills to pay. We were having this huge wrangle with the distributor. All of the volume of everything had been going through them. It was just this absolute perfect storm of all hell, and that thing of going, right, okay, actually we are properly in it.
But that's an opportunity, right?
Definitely, absolutely, definitely. And also that thing of there's nothing like a crisis to force a creative response, and to just and to also to make big decisions. So the cash flow was absolutely dreadful, and also because we were also trying to negotiate out of a contract. I should warn you, you may get my very melodramatic cat appearing at some stage to add to the excitement. So,
who did you take? Can I just ask, who did you take advice from during this period? Did you talk to your accountant? Who was kind of feeding in what you should and shouldn't do from the business? Who does have the spreadsheets?
That's a really good question. And actually spoke to lots of people. So spoke to. You won't get the cat mincing in because the door is dramatically slammed. Fine. We spoke to our accountants. I've been through the Goldman Sachs 10K Small Businesses program. So the WhatsApp group with all of that gang was like a sort of just an amazing support network, which also needed muting because it was just ping, 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 ping all the time. But that has been a really useful sounding board because it's 80 people all in the same boat, all with very different businesses, but basically facing the same challenges. And we also talk to each other. So Ellie, who you saw on that slide, and Easy, you know, they're both, although Ellie doesn't work in business anymore, they're both, you know, they're directors, they're my best mates. We sat virtually around the kitchen table, had massive gins, and we're just like, right, okay, well, what are we going to do? And also we spoke to the bank. And one of the things that kind of, I think we have developed a good relationship with our relationship manager over the last year or two, and that has been a really useful thing as well. And the fact that she knows Brighton Gin, she drinks Brighton Gin, she can see its brand collateral around town. That was helpful because she's been really helpful to us. What else can I tell you about cash flow? It stopped.
Did you take any of the government? So the government, you know, loans have you taken, you know, and
we have gone for absolutely. So we did the kind of, I suppose, the classic response of, right, cut everything absolutely to the bone. Nothing, everything is in the deep freeze. New product plans, all that, everything is just like budge. It's only going to be super core activity. What support can we get? So, you know, I was asking the council about their grants. We are one of the 9% of people who've managed to get a CBILS loan.
Well done, that is no mean feat.
And which really is extraordinary. And also, actually, if I hadn't been through the Goldman Sachs 10KSB programme, I would not have been able to take that on and wouldn't have had the huge amount of, you know, I don't know how anyone whose company is genuinely in crisis has then also got the time to do all of the stuff with that. But
the preparation, now, it's huge, isn't it? The amount of forecasting.
Yeah.
Who helped you pull together your application for the CBILS?
I did it all by myself.
Did you?
Yes.
Well done. And it went through. Well, how long did it take from start to finish?
It took a long time, and I have to say, during this, actually, huge props to Charlie, Paul and Rachel, who were then our existing team, who were basically, so Charlie's the operations manager, who has been just running the show, including getting on their bike and delivering gin around town and doing all sorts of everything. So that little gang has been absolutely amazing, and they've really put their shoulder to the wheel. And just I get emotional talking about it, because they've just gone, yeah, we're with you on this ride. We know it might all go to tits, but let's do everything we can.
Do you know, I think that's one of the lovely things we've had repeated again and again. I think the teams have been brought together. It seems it's real camaraderie, both from within companies, but also from other companies supporting other businesses, which I guess leads us quite nicely into what happened next, the survival strategy or the partnership, because you did pivot. You know, you're in March, everything's looking a bit hellish. You are applying for loans left, right, and centre, but you're just thinking, right, okay, when is our market going to open up? We had no idea at that point the Super Saturday was going to be this weekend. So you've got no idea, nothing ahead. Then this. Where did the conversation start?
Absolutely. So there were two bits of our basically drastically changing our business within about a week, I think, was some. So one thing was about hearing. I did a radio interview actually about the state of the business and all this kind of stuff, and in that interview, this woman said, "Oh, but I've just been reading an article this morning about how alcohol at a certain percentage kills viruses." It's like, oh, that's interesting. Yes, of course it does. And then thinking, oh, what have we got lots of? We've got a lot of alcohol. We've got a lot of organic wheat spirit. It is the best quality, smoothest, most fantastic alcohol you can get. But it's alcohol. It's 96.6%. So, this is really interesting. So, and we weren't the first to get a hand sanitizer out there, and there was a reason for that also, because we buddied up with, and thank you for choosing this picture, because at the top of that you see AS Apothecary. This is Amanda and her team. She is a cosmetic distiller, which is a job. Who knew? But if you ever had a lovely, you know, really high grade hand cream or something that's made with essential oils, basically the process of distillation extracts those essential oils. So she has the same stills that we do, but she distills buckets of rose petals and stuff like that in them.
Oh my Lord, I bet her factory smells amazing. Or distillery smells amazing.
She's a magician. When things open up again, do go and visit her in Lewis, because she's a magician, and the stuff she makes is brilliant. But also we were very conscious of, because we wanted to absolutely be part of the solution. They go second, awful pun. But also didn't want, in our rush to help, didn't want to make things worse. So going back to the ethanol, which we have in its raw state at 96.6%, that is a thing you don't want to have on your skin. You definitely don't want to drink it. It's you know, it's a dangerous chemical, and we've seen some people rushing out hand sanitizers that were made from 96% ethanol, and so, well, we don't want to, that's going to completely screw up your skin, and actually it's really dangerous. It's a flash risk for a start. You don't need to get that, you know, too close to your kitchen hob to really create a problem. So we buddied up with Amanda and AS Apothecary, because she had the whole skincare knowledge, and was also able to denature alcohol, which is a legal requirement, basically, so people don't go off and get sloshed on this. You can't drink it, but make something that's really, really good for people's hands, and with the thought as well that people are going to be using stuff like this possibly for a long time.
And was she up for it? Because her, and I know she's not on the call and this isn't about her, but was she also having the same headaches? So she too was looking for a partnership, or she just thought, actually, this is just something I can add?
Completely. She was looking for, so she's like, I've got the skills and I've got the essential oils, but I don't have access to the alcohol. And yeah, so it's like, excellent. And we've wanted to work together actually for a long time. We've had lots of ridiculous, quite drunken discussions about things and what can we do.
You've not been drinking that hand sanitizer, have you? Just to check. Just want to.
No, but you know, it smells.
A little squirt on your tongue in the morning. Yeah, oh, fine.
Every time I use it, it first makes me want to have gin and tonic, and then it also makes me want to have Sunday lunch, because it's got the extra rosemary.
Brilliant.
It's absolutely delicious.
So, I mean, to go about and do this then, so you guys have met, you've got a shared interest for where, you know, we need to do something, you know that the market demands it. Does it cost money to set this up? Money which you haven't really got because suddenly you're on your backside? How do you then scrape down enough together to go into this?
Absolutely. And yeah, completely and utterly, because like all of these things in life, you know, ideas are easy. It's the implementing them and the doing them, the execution that's so hard. And that was another reason, like, okay, actually, let's think about this properly. What can we do? Amanda was looking around her storeroom going, well, what have I got? I've got these little pump spray bottles that I'd usually use for perfume. We can use those. Her label maker was still in operations. Like, okay, we'll do all of this stuff that we can do together. And I also went off and wrote a short bid to Coast Capital, going, we want to make this thing happen, but actually stuff like buying the glass bottles, and we wanted to use glass so it can be reused and recycled. Again, we didn't want to just go, and now we've produced 100 tons of single-use plastic that can't have a life. So these guys, we've recently released a refill for them, which you can use in these bottles, but you could also use in any pump spray dispenser, because again, we think that behaviours have changed for the foreseeable future. People out and about on the hoof are going to want to have one of these in their handbags or in the back pocket. So C2C came on board and supported us with the helping by these raw materials. We also were like, well, already this feels like such a long time ago. It's so interesting, but you know, it felt very much like not only was society in crisis, everybody wanted to help but didn't know how. And the brilliant Rachel, who is the queen of puns. Most people who work at Brighton Gin have to have a love for puns. I think it's one of the only like minimum requirements. And she came up with this great thing of well, we were talking about how can we do this and you know, support the NHS. We want to donate stuff and support frontline workers. And she was like, oh, we'll call it spray it forward rather than pay it forward, which has been absolute genius. And it's a really easy, simple thing as well. So for every one hand sanitizer sold through the website, we've donated to frontline workers. We've been able to keep...
Bravo, Mrs.
Well, and bravo, there's incredible people who've supported it. We limited it to one per person, because at the time there was so much rampant stockpiling, and we're like, actually, we want as many people as possible to be able to access this, and also to be part of supporting things.
I mean, how are sales going? I mean, I think because the world is weird, as you said, it feels a really long time. It's not that long ago, and it feels a really long time ago. So have the sales trickled off? Are they still strong? Are they does it look like it's got longevity in it?
And the other bit as well that I should mention, kind of on the sales front, is also that we've totally changed the rest of our business plan. We've said goodbye to our underperforming distributor, which was expensive but so satisfying, and all of that obviously was focused on building nationwide through the on-trade, which is, although it's hospitality obviously is coming back in a shape or form from next weekend, there's a lot to settle into. A lot of places haven't earned anything for the last few months, and I think they'd be looking at running down whatever stocks they've got to get those quids in. So we've also focused on selling through the website, and our website existed long before we had a license to sell anything direct. So our online sales experience has always been a little bit, you've got to be determined, basically, to get through to where you want to get to. New website coming next week, very exciting.
Amazing.
But yeah, so we're like, okay, actually, we'll totally change our model. Let's really focus on direct to consumer. We'll go right back to how it used to be right at the beginning, when I was on my push bike delivering individual bottles of gin. And that's what we've been doing. So again, the amazing team of Paul, Rachel and Charlie Paul single-handedly has made thousands of bottles of hand sanitizer, and we've been out doing door-to-door deliveries, which actually was a real privilege to do, because a lot of places we were going and talking to people, and we were the only human contacts that they'd had during a week. We met this amazing woman who I went to go and deliver gin and hand sanitizer to, and as I did her kind of safe doorstep delivery, she's like, actually, I've got 3 bottles of your gin in the cupboard, but I really love what you guys are doing, and I want to support you and keep you going. Had a little cry about that, but I think that thing of the response of our customers has been absolutely blinding. Really.
I mean, sorry, Hannah, just one question, just from a revenue perspective for you guys, where is the best place to help you out that we should buy your products? So if we buy gin from the website, would you get a bigger cut than if we buy it from Waitrose or something else? So actually, are there positive actions from this webinar that we can take to help you get your cash flow up quicker?
Thank you. That's a fantastic question. And actually, but that thing of buying direct from us, we're currently offering free delivery for any order over £20, I think. So that's amazing, because actually, although our volume has just disappeared because of the not only the margin but the connection with our customers is totally there through the website. It would be amazing. However, we'd love you to buy Brighton Gin from ever. So Waitrose or Marks and Spencer's, your local independent. If your local independent doesn't have it, go in and go, where's Brighton Gin? I hear they're brilliant.
I mean, can I just ask a question on, you've been incredibly generous with these hand sanitizers in terms of the giveaway that you've done on the back of selling one. Do you make any money out of them? Because
we don't, but what it has done is it's moved cash through the business.
Okay.
Which has been, that's a really
enough to keep it going. It's enabled it to keep the engine ticking.
And are you going to keep doing them? Are you going to keep doing them together? You know, it's just you've pivoted, you've got two businesses.
Yeah.
Actually.
And you know, 6 weeks ago, I think I would have given you a different answer, but now I think we'll keep doing them as long as people keep wanting them. We're really happy that we've done the refill, the eco refill. I think we're the only people doing those. We've also tried to make it that kind of open access thing that you can put it into any pump dispenser and it's going to work. So I think as long as people want them, we will do. And certainly the positive thing is that finally supply chains to, you know, I mean, it's nuts that a tiny company should have been donating hand sanitizer. We know that we've been able to keep wards open at Millview Hospital, for example, with the donations that people
Unbelievable.
funded. Isn't that nuts? But we will also
how do we recommend you for an awards honour? Honestly, it's just amazing, Kathy.
But I also just, I think, you know, that's so bonkers that should be the case. But again, also we're really, really proud to be part of that. And also things that Brighton Hove Samaritans had to close their doors because they couldn't get hand sanitizer to have Blinn answering phones, doing stuff at exactly the time when you've got people in crisis and being isolated and desperate. And again, through people's donations that they basically funded through their purchases, they were able to reopen again.
I think community has been just the thread through every single one of these, and I think the stories are just amazing. And we mustn't let it go. I think when we go back and let it all go back to normal, it shouldn't be. We should all learn big fat hairy lessons from this. But we are going to go back to normal, so we do need to think about the future. And I guess we need to think about what does the next month look like.
I'm there. I want to be right there, right now.
3 o'clock, Hannah, then you can have one. But look, what does the future look like? Obviously the pubs are reopening, we know that, next Saturday. Or I think a lot of them are doing it on the Monday, aren't they? For various reasons now. But they're reopening. Now they have got stockpile stock. When are you forecasting that you're going to be able to get that wholesale market back up and running, etc.?
Yeah, and actually the wholesalers themselves are only just coming back out of deep freeze. A lot of the more kind of regionally focused ones shut entirely. They put everyone into the deep freeze, so they're just coming back, and which is great actually, because they're buddies as well as customers. A couple I know have closed their doors permanently, and they're the first company closures that I know of, and I fear and suspect that there will be more, I think, over the next, as for you guys would know much better than me actually. I should be asking you your opinions, but I think as as furlough tails off,
this is what we've talked about, and a lot of demos have said the same. At the moment the world has been able to keep spinning. I think as furlough does tail off, we will see the casualties then of the last few months, clearly. At the moment we haven't really seen it. There's definitely been some brilliant businesses who won't be opening their doors that we know of, but I think it is only the tip of the iceberg, sadly.
Absolutely. See, and I think also we've kind of the last bit of the pivot that's going to happen now is about probably putting on ice for the time being our national growth plans. We're back to doing our distribution ourselves, our direct supply ourselves. But we do want to keep pushing that towards our wholesalers, because, like I say, seeing some of them go pop is just really sad. So actually we want to see that business go back through them, but also we want to do absolutely anything and everything we can to support the trade, to support individuals, just to, we're waltzing into the unknown. And also, I have to say, having walked back from, I had an actual meeting yesterday with somebody face to face, good Lord, but walking back from that yesterday past Hove Lawns, which was slammed busy, it was like...
I saw it last night, there was no social distancing going on over there.
Absolutely, and it's like I find it hard to think that there won't be a second wave or spikes or stuff, and what happens to hospitality then. So I think the next 6 months looks pretty scary for lots of people, but we want to do everything to help support individuals and support businesses. And this whole kind of thing of, again, since day one, we've had our community spirit thing, with both capital and lowercase things, and I think now that's even more at the heart of how we want to operate than it was before. So I think that thing of going, right, okay, we're not going to focus on getting Brighton Gin nationwide for the time being. If it happens, that's bloody brilliant, but actually let's really, focus locally. What can we do to help and support, and also with our small nimble team.
Where do your cash flow forecasting, where does this fit into all of this? What have you modelled? Have you got various different models for the next few months? Are you just taking it day by day?
It really feels day by day at the moment, and I love logging in and looking at flow, because it lets me know that now 82% of our custom is through our single, Brighton Gin web sales customer, and it's warning me saying, you're over reliant on one customer. It's like, you are correct. It's like, luckily they're hundreds of people.
Luckily I know them.
So but I think it's also, and actually to go back to previous question, we've taken advantage of every single what can we delay in paying to HMRC, but also knowing that that's not our money, that needs to go.
That's my big question, I think, because I think a lot of businesses, and I know that you'll give me the honest answer on this, have gone, let's take advantage of everything, let's take the C-bills, let's take bounce backs, let's defer payments, let's just everything, every scheme that the government put into play, signed up for. But of course the date is looming as to when, and it will come around very, very quickly, where all of these things then have to be repaid. Absolutely. How do you model for that? How are you actually modelling it?
We've gone, my sainted bookkeeper, who is absolutely, my God, she is worth her weight in gold times 1,000, we've really, really got into the nitty gritty, and and we're one of those companies that's paused everything we can, has done anything we can to preserve cash in the business, but also we've over the last few weeks or so, actually we're starting making, let me just shut the door because some builders have started up. One moment. Oh my God, you got builders.
These webinars are the best.
But yes, so we've started kind of incrementally. We've got payment plans in place for lots of things. We've been on the phone to HMRC a lot this week, who have been such nice people.
That's so good. I know, it's something to not be feared, isn't it? That conversation with HMRC.
Completely, and I think, I hope that that's a behaviour that's changed me. Because I do have been a person who wakes up at 3 a.m. being terrified of the tax man dealing with it. But my God, they've been so helpful and patient, and so we've got a plan. It's going to take a while, but we're definitely not going to be in that bunch of people who just. So I know that all of that stuff can roll over to March next year, but actually we'd rather incrementally just nibble away at things.
We've had a question in actually from Caroline. Has Kathy had help with forecast and cost control? Does she use an accountant and Futurely? So you do use Futurely Flow, which is the product you were just talking about before. But I'm interested in the accountant piece of the puzzle, because you have a bookkeeper, but an accountant to help you with that scenario modelling, that planning, the advice. Do you have that or not?
Yes, and in the midst of this, we've changed accountants as well. Actually, we've done quite a lot of change.
Why did you change accountants?
Because our previous lot had, I think, actually given some slightly wonky advice. So, including that we weren't in any way eligible for R&D tax credits or any of those things, and talking to other distillers who basically said, that's absolutely totally.
No, all you need as a small business is accurate information, isn't it? That's all you ever need, be it from financial to financial money. You can get loans, anything. Just give us the accurate information.
Absolutely, and I'm completely delighted with the accountant who we are now working with, because he also can just talk. He not only really knows his stuff, but can express it very clearly and humanely. And we had a Zoom catch up with him last week. It was lovely not to see him in a tie. Met his sausage dog. You know, that's.
Is he Brighton based?
Huh?
Is he Brighton based?
They've got a Brighton satellite office, but they're based in Worthing. And I'm happy to give a name or not. I don't know.
No, please, Joe. I would be happy for anybody. If you are getting a good accountant who's doing the right things, please do shout about them.
Yeah. So we're working with Sam Ewins at Carpenter Box, and he's been absolutely just really brilliant and really calm as well. And I think that's another thing that's been very useful when the world has been full of panic and this heightened, oh God, there's actually someone going,
it's okay,
doing all the right things, it's all okay, is, great.
So how are you feeling now, Kathy, as you look ahead?
Oh, I want to be wildly optimistic, because I believe I probably am just wired like that.
That's the entrepreneur in you.
Yes, like, we can do this, we'll work it all out. I've got some trepidation, particularly about the next 3 months. I think it all feels a bit shambolic about how things are unfolding, and there doesn't actually seem to be a plan or a structure to it. And for my industry, for my trade, I see that being a big issue. I also think, we're looking at other ways that we can do business, given that I still believe that we've got a massive opportunity with export. British gin is the best in the world. Brighton Gin is a bloody fantastic gin. It should be out. Brighton's an amazing place. Who wouldn't want the spirit of Brighton? But what we're not going to be able to do is, go to trade fairs, talk to people, meet buyers, and engage. Go and sample. How do we do that? How do you get someone to try your product?
I think consolidation this year, ready for that next year, is just going to be so key. Is there any? I know we've talked about a lot of learnings, but are there, looking at these last questions, biggest learnings, things that you've wished you'd done or hadn't done, what's your biggest takeaway from this period? And it can be personal or business,
I wish on a business front, I wish that I had probably taken that hard, decisive action earlier. But I'm still glad that we did it, and I'm definitely glad that we did it right at the beginning of the year, and actually before, and but absolutely, brutally hard to do. I am really glad that I got to go on holiday at the beginning of January. Shouldn't say that. I am really glad about it, because that's got to sustain me for a long time. And I think that thing of looking to the future, I suppose my worry, today's main worry, is about what the shape and length and depth of the inevitable recession is going to be, and what happens to people's habits, purchasing habits, disposable income during that.
I think we'll always want to have a drink, so I think at least that gin is going to want, it's going to be needed throughout whatever happens, good or bad.
Yeah, this is.
We've had a question.
Yeah.
So we've had a question, Kathy, about, and we've had one question about this in the whole of these series, and we thought we'd stopped talking about it, but Brexit, because it's coming too, right? And what's happened? What impact do you think that's going to have on your business?
So BC before COVID, it was one of the biggest threats because of export. And we make and sell a really highly regulated product. on which there are lots of very complicated duties and legal restrictions, even things like the labelling. So you've got this lovely picture of the seaside strength, and Alfred, by the way, is the name of the pug, not mine. He's a Danish pug. But so at the moment, everything that's on that label is legal and applicable within all of Europe. So it means we can take Brighton Gin as it is and sell it anywhere within Europe. But there hasn't been any agreement about what will happen after Brexit. So
it is an interesting thing, though, with everybody having been impacted economically so stringently, that those worries potentially about trade deals and all this, I think, you know, there may be more fluidity off the back of COVID than there would have been beforehand. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I think I was reading a thing yesterday written by kind of a big sector investor, where he was going, actually the horror show of COVID probably means that Brexit isn't going to be as terrible as we all thought it would be. I have absolutely no idea, but I think, and I'm also really glad that I make a product that doesn't have a shelf life. In fact, responds quite well to just sitting on the shelf, hanging out. It can be in a lorry at docks for a long time. I think there's the whole Brexit is very close. It's going to be here in 3 minutes.
Well, I think with your determination and unbelievably wonderful spirit, pardon the pun,
can come again.
I have a feeling you're gonna be okay, Kathy. I think we all do.
There will always be gin. Even if it's peddling it around town, delivering it to you directly, there will always be gin.
We've had so many people saying thank you for sharing your story and how inspiring you are in the chat box. So just thank you so much. It's been brilliant.
Thank you for it also, because it's the hottest day of the year. Get out there, get on the beach, go swimming.
We wish.
I forgot I was muted. Go and sit 2 meters apart on the beach. I mean, if I try and find that down on Hove Seafront, I think is a challenge.
I was a proper old lady yesterday and told some teenagers to pick up their bottles, which they then didn't do. And then I picked up their bottles and threw them away. How do you deal with teenagers? Tell me.
You were just trying to sell them the spray tops, weren't you? Listen, on that note, we are going to wrap up. We're just over time. That was the fastest hour. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's just brilliant. And I think
you for having me.
It's just one of the good news stories that comes out of this, that, you know, in the face of adversity, there is always an opportunity, and you absolutely found it. So Kathy, thanks a million. Everybody who has joined us and escaped the sun for this hour, thank you for joining us. I will share the recording later on today, but I will let you all get back to it.
Thanks, Kathy. We'll be having a gin, posting you later.